Hello everyone. Yesterday we have started with module number 1, that is overview of project management, and yesterday we have understood the basics of project, the characteristics of project, and how project is considered to be different from the routine operations or the routine activities. We also try to understand what type of activities or which particular works can be considered as a project, and we also seen some examples of real life projects, and then we have gone for some videos to understand the companies who are working in the project sector and what are the different types of projects they are undertaking in the real life scenario. So let us continue with our discussion on this module number 1, overview of project management. So now going one step ahead after project, now the next part what we want to discuss is regarding the project management. So when we say that we are studying the subject project management and somebody asks you that exactly what do you study or what do you mean by this project management, then we should be able to answer this question, that what is exactly the formal definition or the formal way of defining the project management domain. This project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So you can go through the statement. What is project management? It is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So as we are knowing, every project has certain standard initiation point, certain end point. The project is executed for a specific purpose, for specific goal, specific objective, and to achieve that particular objective, the project will be involving variety of activities, and these activities we should execute in a proper way, in a proper manner. So that's why whatever project team you have with you, that project team will have certain knowledge about their different domains. Let us say you have a team with you. Some people they are expert in HR, some people they are expert in finance, some people they are expert in operations, some people they are expert in marketing, some people they are expert in the specific engineering domains, like it may be software, it may be civil engineering, it may be mechanical engineering, or it may be automobile engineering, whatever. So every person who is involved knowledge about his own domain, he will have some skills, some particular characteristics, and there are multiple tools and techniques available in the market. But now, as a project manager, the project manager has to club all these things together, and there has to be some application of these all things. Somebody has knowledge of particular domain, but he is not applying it properly, then there is no use of this. So the knowledge of people, the skills whatever the people they are having, and the tools and techniques which are available, this should be applied to the different activities of your project, so that systematically, effectively, efficiently you will meet the project requirements. So this all what we are doing is nothing but the domain that is called as project management. So how we are going to accomplish these all things? So project management, it is accomplished through the appropriate application and integration of project management processes identified for the project. So there are multiple activities for any project. These activities, they should be categorized into certain project management processes, and if these project management processes, they are applied and integrated properly, then we can say the project management will be definitely successful for that particular project. The project management, why we are focusing on learning this project management or application of this project management to the project, because the project management enables the organization to execute the projects effectively and efficiently. Projects are carried out by many people, many organizations, but if you apply the project management principles, if you apply the project management standards and then try to execute the project, definitely there are chances that the projects, they will be executed effectively and efficiently. There is one statistics available. There is a Standish group which is in US, which is publishing the reports for the projects which are executed worldwide. Every year that report is getting published. Some 5 years back, if we consider the report, then it was observed that almost 70% of the projects, they were getting failed. Only 30% of the projects were successful. When we say the project is successful, we have yesterday seen the criteria to say the project is successful. Critical success factors are what? The financial aspect, that is budget, the schedule of your project, the performance of your project, that is quality and scope, and client acceptance. So in all these manners, if the project is satisfying the requirements, we say the project is successful. And the statistics which was put forth by this Standish group in 2012-13, it was almost 70% of the projects, they were getting failed because they were not managed properly. They were executed, but they were not managed properly. So because of the implementation of project management practices, project management principles into your projects, it has been observed that every year that percentage of projects which are failing, that has going on reducing, and slowly the projects, they are moving more towards success because of this project management philosophy and systematic application of project management principles to execute the project. So this project management domain, understanding the project management process, the various phases of project management, we will be able to have the organizations which will be effectively and efficiently executing the projects. Let us move further. The 5 processes through which you can accomplish the project management. Which are the 5 processes? You can see on screen. The project management, it is accomplished through the use of following 5 processes. Number 1, it is initiation. Second, it is planning. Third process is execution. Fourth is monitoring and control. And fifth one is closure. So these are 5 different processes for project management, and every process will involve certain different activities for executing the project. So initiation is just the very basic step, the first step, where the actual beginning, or the, we can say, concept of project, that gets into mind, or it comes into picture, that a particular project needs to be started or it needs to be executed. So that is the initiation part. Then it comes to planning. So when we say planning, if we don't plan, then we cannot execute properly. If without planning we go for jumping to the next step, that is execution, then the resources cannot be utilized properly. We may be landing up in cost overrun, or we may be landing up in time overrun. We will be exceeding the schedule, we will be exceeding the cost, the quality may not be as per the requirement, and the scope also may not be reached. So that's why before we go for execution, there has to be a micro level planning for each and every activity what is we are going to consider. Once we have everything planned properly, then we should go for the next step, that is execution. When we are going for execution, we should make sure that there has to be the the execution has to be according to whatever has been planned, whatever has been decided. If the execution is deviating from the planned, then we should have certain monitoring and controlling actions. So that is coming in the next step. So execution and monitoring and control, they will be more going hand in hand, because whenever you are going for execution, there has to be continuous monitoring. Instead of changing the things once they have been finished, if during the process itself you come to know that the things are not going well, they are deviating from the objective, you can go for some rectification, you can go for some controlling action and try to bring the things back to track. So this monitoring and control is very very essential for your execution of the project. And finally, once your execution is completed, then the last step is about the closure. So closure is also very essential stage, because during the closure stage, you will be handing over your project to the client, to the customer. So getting the customer acceptance, that is one important thing. Again, documenting the lessons learned, that is another important thing. And finally, getting the payment, or getting the, what we can say, the final amount which is given by the customer to the project team for completion of the project. So once the client has accepted the project, then getting the funds transfer, for that will be the last step for your closure. Okay. So these are the various processes of project management. So project initiator or sponsor, he is the person who is behind the initiation process, initiating the initiation of the project. It is triggered by project sponsor or initiator. Then he will be giving certain inputs for the project, so that will be helping for initiating processes. Then the planning process will come, then execution will come. During this planning execution, there will be continuous monitoring and controlling, and finally you will have this closing processes. And during this closing, after the closing, you will have the project deliverables and project records. So between this initiation to closing, we say these are the project boundaries. So project starts at a definite point and the project ends at a definite point. After the completion of project, the project deliverables will be supplied to the end user or the customer, and the project records, that is lessons learned, the documentation part, it will be kept as the process assets, so that whenever you go for next project, you can refer to the previous document and try to learn something from the failures, from the results, whatever has been recorded for the previous project. Now this project management, the history is long, it is not very recent. The concept of project management, it started in 1946. So when we got our independence, before that, the project management domain, it has emerged, it has got its birth. So where it has got, it was there in Manhattan Project, which was led by US military to develop atomic bombs, which lasted for 3 years and cost around $2 billion in 1946. So in 1946 itself, this concept of project management it was started, but at that time point of time, it was a very small concept. Just people started recognizing that there is some domain which is needed for project to be successful, and then slowly the things started getting developed, and in more prominently in recent, we can say some 10-15 years, people have started the importance of this project management and considering the things as project more prominently in the industries, in the businesses, in the service sector. So before that, before last 15 to 20 years, when we say project, people used to only think in perspective of there will be projects like construction projects or infrastructure projects, or there will be some software project, or there will be some projects which are related to power plant or something like this. But nowadays, every small thing, people have started understanding that if it can be observed as a project, then it can be done in a successful manner. It will can be done in more effective manner. So considering more and more practical aspects as a project, that and then applying the project management principles, that has started becoming a global scenario, that more and more people they want to start working into this project management domain. Then second development in the project management is about the one tool or methodology which is known as Gantt chart. So particularly this Gantt chart is used for scheduling purpose, scheduling the activities in factories, in projects, in anything where multiple activities are you have, you need to go, you should use a Gantt chart. And this Gantt chart, it is prepared or it was developed by Henry Gantt in 1917 as a tool for scheduling work in factories, which provided a standard format for planning and reviewing all the work in early military projects. So when the Gantt chart was developed, it was not for project management, it was not for executing project, it was just for scheduling the work in factories. But the project management authorities, project management standards, they have understood that the Gantt chart which is used for scheduling work in different factories, that can be a great tool for project management also, because every project it involves multiple activities, multiple works, and if we can develop Gantt chart for projects, it will be very useful. So that's why Gantt chart is very commonly used in projects. Even if you go for the project management softwares, like there is a software which is called as MS Project. So that is by Microsoft. So that MS Project develops nothing but what? It develops a Gantt chart for your project. So we have to go for listing various activities. We have to allocate the resources to those activities. We have to give the schedule when each activity is going to start, when each activity going to finish, whether the activities are going in parallel or they are dependent on each other. And then once you have your complete Gantt chart prepared in the MS project, then simply you have to go on monitoring whether the things are executing as per the plan or not. Then members of US Navy submarine project first used network diagrams in 1958, which helped managers to model the relationship among project tasks to create more realistic schedules. So there are certain techniques which are using network diagrams, like in our syllabus also we will be seeing the critical path method and program evaluation and review technique, or project evaluation and review technique, that is CPM and PERT. So that is nothing but the network diagram. So those network diagrams were used first time in 1958 for Navy submarine project in US. And These network diagrams helped the managers to model the relationship among project tasks or activities so that more realistic schedule can be prepared, and that schedule can be developed using Gantt chart. Now, effective project management leads to what? If we have effective project management, then we'll be able to meet business objectives. We can satisfy the stakeholder expectations. We can be more predictable. So, if we go for forecasting or predictions, then effective project management will help us to be more predictable. Ultimately, the chances of success will be increased because you are applying systematic methodology for execution of your project. Deliver the right products at the right time. So time frame will be maintained. You will be within the timeline and within the budget. Resolve problems and issues. So if any discrepancy, any problems they are coming in between, either in between the departments, between the team, or with respect to availability of the resources or the technology, then those problems can be resolved and you can have systematic execution of your project. Respond to risks in timely manner. So there is a separate knowledge area which is project risk management, so which will allow you to identify the risks before they come into picture, and since the risks are identified priorly, you can have your response plan ready to mitigate the risks. Optimize the use of organizational resources. So if you are working on multiple projects parallelly, the resources in your organization they can be used optimum so that their fullest efficiency can be utilized for execution of your project. Identify, recover, or terminate failing projects. So this project management effectiveness will allow you to understand which projects they are on track, they are successful, and which projects they are deviating more and more, and there are no chances to recover them back to the track. So in that case, if we feel that a particular project is not feasible or it is not uh, executing as per the plan, then you can have certain plans to terminate the particular project. Manage the constraints like scope, quality, schedule, cost, resources. So these constraints we can manage effectively. Balance the influence of constraints on the project. So the constraints for your project, like it may be scope, it may be cost, it may be schedule. So if there is some change in one constraint, obviously they are interdependent. So that is going to hamper another constraint. So like if you have defined a particular scope of your project, if that scope goes on widening, it goes on increasing, then definitely there will be more cost, there will be more time required, the schedule will get extended. Extension in schedule will again hamper the cost will increase. The increase in cost may again need to rethink on the scope. So likewise, these all things are interdependent, and that's why the project management will help us to balance the influence of constraints on your project and manage the change in better manner, because change management is very essential. Change management is a very important domain. Whenever you go for changing anything, whenever you go for modifying the things, obviously there is some resistance from the people. There are uh, you can say inertia among the people to change themselves, to change to the new technology, to change to the new philosophy. So if you apply this project management effectively, then these changes can be managed in a smooth manner. There will not be any abrupt change in your organization. So as effective project management gives us so many benefits. If the project management is not effective, it is absent, or it is in place but it is not executed properly, it is poor project management, then what will be the effects, what will be the um, results, outcomes for your project? You will be definitely missing the deadlines, so the works will not get completed in time, so there will be changes, there will be delays which will be to your deadlines. Cost overrun. So whenever you are not following project management principles, they are absent or they are not applied properly, they are poor, then the cost of your project will go on increasing. So cost overruns will be definite. The quality of project we cannot assure. We we may land up in poor quality of your project. There may be instances where multiple times you may need to go for rework of your things because you are not following the project management principles. Then, uncontrolled expansion of the project, as we are not following the project management principles, the project may go on expanding, the scope of your project may go on increasing to any extent, and the expansion or increase in the scope of your project may become uncontrollable. Because of this all, if your project is not following deadlines, if your quality of project is not good, if the costing is going beyond the budgeted amounts, if several reworks are required, the scope is not within your control, then this all will be definitely resulting in what? Loss of reputation of the organization. And because of this loss of reputation of your organizations, the stakeholders of your company, of your firm, they will be unsatisfied. And if the stakeholders are unsatisfied, then it will happen that we will be always failing in achieving the objectives for which the project has been undertaken. So this is going to lead to failures of the project, failure of the term, failure of your the time frame whatever you have designated or chalked out for a particular project, and as a whole your firm will be suffering a lot because of these all failures. Next part is about the three constraints for project management. This is called as triple constraint of project management. So the three constraints are scope goals, time goals, and cost goals. So as we know, every project is executed for a certain goal. So whenever we are executing a project for a certain specific goal, we should define the three different constraints: scope goals, time goals, and cost goals, which are in line with the final goal of your project. Now, as far as the scope goals are concerned, whenever you are defining the scope of your project, we should be able to properly document what you are supposed to execute in your project and what you are not supposed to execute in your project. So whenever you are defining the scope has to be very, very clear. The scope should not be vague that I will be doing this and this. So whenever you say the scope or whenever you define the scope in a vague manner, then afterwards it becomes difficult to control the activities in that particular scope. So the scope has to be very particularly defined, because once you define the scope very precisely, based upon that you can plan certain activities. When you plan certain activities, those activities will require certain time, it will require certain resources, it will involve certain cost. If your scope is not defined properly, you cannot have your budget proper, you cannot have your time frame to be defined properly. So first and foremost thing is your scope goals has to be defined very clearly. Once you define your scope goals, then we should go for identifying the various activities involved to achieve those particular scope, the objectives, and then what is the time required to complete those particular activities, so that we can have a plan of the project and we will be able to understand when the project is starting and when the project is probably coming to the end point where the final objectives they will be achieved. Once you prepare these time goals, so time goals should not be only for the entire project. The time goals has to be planned for each and every activity of your project, so that when each and every activity gets finished at a particular time, then systematically the next activities can also start and finish at their own time. Ultimately the final project will get completed within the given time. If we don't assign time frame, time limit to individual activities, then it will become very difficult to control the overall schedule of your project. And finally the cost goals, because ultimately financial aspects are very crucial for any project. As projects they are involving a huge finance, we have to make sure that the scope whatever has been defined, the time frame whatever has been defined for the project, according to that you will have proper costing, proper budgeting attached to each and every activity of your project. So whenever you are going for defining the cost goals, you should take into account all the parameters like the expenditure on human resources, expenditure on trainings, expenditure on materials, expenditure on some consultancy charges, expenditure for some legal requirements, expenditure for some documentation purpose, expenditure for some certifications, expenditure for testing, expenditure for certain import and export duties, expenditure because of some, we can say, unforeseen instances which may come into picture, and so many other things. So you have to think in very minute micro level and try to find out the costing, try to find out the budgeting, and then decide your cost goals. So once your these three triple constraints, that is cost goals, time goals and scope goals, they have been defined, they have been documented very micro level, at micro level, then there are chances that your project management, if applied and executed properly, the chances of having your project extremely successful, they are better. So the project team, especially the project manager and the stakeholders of your project, they should be more concerned about the triple constraints of this project management. Okay. So this was the part which was to be discussed for today.